Yeah, this is the most just
But I need to read the
sorry. Yeah.
So I'll read for you. After this,
Yeah.
it should be a national anthem,
Yeah.
and then put up and
All
down.
that. I will say that it's going to be played, then only played. Yeah.
And then I read the code of conduct, and post that you come on the.
So when you read, you have to read line by line, and others have to repeat, which I will tell. It's like that. Okay. Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. I think we are a few minutes late, but I think we should manage our affairs within the given time. Not a problem. I think today is a very special day for many reasons. And one of the reasons is I was reading a quotation from Khalid Hosseini, who said, "It may be unfair, but what happens in a few days, sometimes even a single day, can change the course of a lifetime." I think the book that has been released and the personas who are present here, who've been covered by the book, I think that book has the potential to change all our lives. So I think we are celebrating the potential for what the personas in the book have stood for and how it has been documented and presented to us. I think it's a great gift to all of us without going through the difficulties maybe that you faced and came out to the levels that you are right now. We will be able to have maybe a simpler path for similar challenges. The idea of this you would call small engagement, I won't even call it a meeting, is a sort of a thanksgiving. It's a sort of expressing our gratitude to people who have been mostly on this side as far as NHRD is concerned. Most of them have influenced each one of us in different ways. And I think in today's world, as you know, the digital touch cannot be replaced with a personal touch. When they come and see us, I think it creates a whole lot of vibrations and it creates an impact that is absolutely fantastic. A lot of people I'm able to see after almost 2.5 years. And sometimes we feel so sorry that we miss meeting some people and then we hear the person has passed away. Because these days there is no age related going away. So we are so grateful and so thankful. I'm thankful to Marcel sir and Arvind sir for you could call putting this idea. And I think NHRD in Mumbai chapter have had the services and the leadership from all of you at various times. And I think we are very proud that we are one of the most vibrant chapters. We are one of the most financially secure chapters, all because of all the work done from the first president all the way till today. So, without much ado, I'm going to request my student colleagues to play the national anthem. And if you could stand for a while, it'll be nice.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. So the next item on our special evening is the reading of the code of conduct for our profession. I'll be requesting one of the students to read it out sentence by sentence, and you could repeat it from where you're sitting so that we create that vibration and we pay homage to the code of conduct, which has given us so much in our lives and continue to give so. Over to the students.
Thank you, sir. NHRDN Code of Conduct. I will always strive to meet
I will always strive to meet
the highest evolving standards of competence
the highest levels of standards of competence
in the profession
in the profession
and add value to organizational success.
and add value to organization success.
I will lead with all stakeholders
I will deal with all stakeholders
with utmost integrity
with utmost integrity,
and create an environment of trust
create an environment of trust,
leading to ethical success of my organization.
leading to ethical success of my organization.
I will ensure
I will ensure
that I am always reliable
I am always reliable
and consistent in all my actions
and consistent in all my actions
by accepting responsibility
by accepting responsibility
for my decisions
for my decisions
and actions, thereby creating credibility
and actions, thereby creating credibility
for my profession and myself.
for my profession and myself.
I will be objective in all my actions
I will be objective in all my actions
and decisions
and decisions
and foster fairness with firmness.
and foster fairness with firmness.
I will conduct myself
I will conduct myself
in a way that facilitates growth
that in a way facilitates growth
and development
and development
of all those I'm responsible for.
of all those I'm responsible for.
I will strive to be a role model
I will strive to be a role model
for all others
for all others
and champion exemplary practice of the HR profession.
and champion exemplary practice of the HR profession.
I will respect the rights of privacy,
I will respect the rights of privacy,
will not use my position for personal gains,
will not use my position for personal gains,
and ensure that there is no conflict of interest
and ensure there is no conflict of interest
in what I do with any of my stakeholders.
in what I do with any of my stakeholders.
Thank you.
Thank you, Muskan. Dr. Salunke has just joined us. Request him to join us at the head of the table next to Dr. Arvind. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Though you were sort of out of town, you were racing against time. A few words about what this moment means to all of us. I think what we have lost in the digital sort of context in which we are living and the post-COVID era is we really don't get time to stop by and tell others as to what they mean to our lives, how they have been of such importance in crucial moments of our lives. So I'm thinking of some of my own moments, and I think in 1984, I think NHRDN was headed by Mr. Bide from Bombay Dyeing, and there was a gentleman, I think Rebello, who used to write books. He was general secretary. And I remember that the meeting of the committee was on the floor inside Bombay Dyeing House. But I think that had its own charm. And I remember writing out all those, newsletters and everything by hand. And then I think we have come a long way that we are able to have this in a reputed educational institution. And to that, I think we'll speak about it a little later. So this is a Thanksgiving opportunity to all the senior members who are sitting in front of us, who are largely associated with the Mumbai chapter, but their persona is not limited only to the Mumbai chapter. So their acknowledgement of who they are is not only for their Mumbai persona, but the national and the global persona. So without much ado, I also picked up another quotation. When you have nothing much to say, the best way is to go and search for quotations. And as a teacher, I think it helps sometimes. So Saint Augustine has said that the world is a book, and those who do not travel read only a page. I am very confident with whatever few pages that I've read. I've traveled a lot, so it's okay if you don't travel. Please read this book, which is showing up. It's the 600 or 700 rupees. Am I right, sir? Yeah. And students of our school, it is being ordered in the library. The moment it comes, I think you should read end to end. I will make that happen. So as we move on, I think the first question and the first task is to request Dr. Arvind Agarwal. Dr. TV Rao could not make it due to prior commitments, and I think he has been traveling extensively. So I would request Dr. Arvind Agarwal to share with us as to how did the idea of this book come. And today somebody was saying that you did not even record some people and you made some notes. We're just a bit baffled by all this. And to make these 600 pages or 300 pages, you must have had 3,000 pages. So over to you, sir, to tell us the secret of the book making.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could come here, I think you might feel comfortable.
Good evening to all of you. Firstly, my deepest gratitude to Dr. Salokhe. You've given National HRD Network Bombay chapter a home. Vijayan, you mentioned about Bombay Dime hosting the meeting, and like that, it used to be in different places. And I think now it's what, 15 years?
Almost 20 years.
About 20 years. 20 years we have found a home. So thank you, sir. Our deepest gratitude on behalf of National HRD Network. And I say that because I've been associated with National HRD Network for nearly 40 years, since mid-80s in Delhi. And over the years, we've always thrived on the patronage that we received from a well-wisher like you. Thank you so much. And thank you for hosting this event. And over the years of my association with National HRD Network, I had privilege of working with several legends. Some of them are sitting right here next to you. And I was always curious, what are they made of? What has their life been? And if I can get an opportunity to deep dive and bring that to people, that would be inspiring stories. Those will be very inspiring stories. And that is what provoked me. And I reached out to Professor Rao, who has been a serial author. He has more than 60 books to his credit, and I had none. So I said, I would not even embark upon this, Professor Rao, if you don't hold my hand. And he was gracious enough, after giving considerable thought, that yes, this is perhaps worthwhile for the profession, let's do it. And then it took us 7 years to reach to this point where we were able to put together a story. And again, gratitude to the Titans, rightly mentioned Titans, sitting here, that they've been patient. Unconditionally, they poured their stories. And you're right. Professor Rao told me that don't record, write in your own hand. The purist that he is as a researcher, he says, when you write, your mind is also engaged and you're processing it. If you record, somewhere your mind goes off and you believe that you will listen to it at a later date and you'll capture, and that later date may not happen. So he ensured that I actually hand wrote, and many of you would recall the copious notes that I made. So there were reams of data that we had. And there were people in Jaipur, a team of young girls who were providing transcription services, because I was working at a time when you didn't have transcription readily available from computer. And in any case, it was not recorded, so a question did not arise. But they were able to reproduce my handwritten notes into a transcription to about 85-90% accuracy, which is pretty high, because you wouldn't want to see my handwriting. It's so pathetic. But they were able to make sense out of it and produce such legible transcription. Then came the Herculean task of massaging it down because no publisher will touch it. Because I had almost 70, 80 pages, in some cases, 100 pages of documentation. You can't have that multiplied by 30 and bring that to any kind of publication. So we did a lot of analysis as to what were the crucible moments in the lives of these legends. What were points of inflection and what choices did they make to become who they have become? So that brought us to reality as to what should be brought to the people, what would be inspiring, what would be uh, some lessons which would be really learned by people who are now looking at their careers and future. Coming to the title itself, this was not our original title. Originally, we thought we will call it Baking of HR Professionals. Baking, B-A-K, like you bake a cake, how are they baked? And this was inspired by Warren Bennis, who wrote about Crucible of Leadership. So, Crucible of Leadership, that connected well with what I was hoping that we would be doing. And we said we are capturing crucible moments, and in Crucible, the instant thought that came to us was baking. That baking of people is what we wanted to talk about. But when it went to Penguin, the publisher, they said this is not a great title, and they had a different lens altogether. When they looked at the material, they were very keen that it should be some title around leadership because that's what in the market makes an impression. So we said, okay, leadership is fine. And then they said leadership in the making. They gave us number of choice, and then we selected this leadership in making. And some people on the side have asked me that how come you're talking leadership in the make leaders in the making, because these are already legends. They are already people who are leaders. And short answer to that is that this book is all about the process through which they were made. So it's a making of the leaders. That's a real story and not the leaders themselves. So it's not biographical in the full sense. They have done quite a lot way beyond what is written in the book. The book is just the trailer of their lives, which is capturing crucible moments, and there are lessons that one can learn from. And once again, thank you so much, Vijayan, for bringing us together and felicitating the titles. I'm so immensely grateful to you. Thank you so much, and I do hope you get an opportunity to read the book. My best wishes.
Thank you, Arvind sir. You've been always very generous to me also. I've had a chance to do some work under your guidance. I think I fondly remember those experiences. I probably request my boss, who's has multiple avatars. So the avatar now I'm inviting him is not as a boss, but as a person who's been closely, actively supporting the NHRDN movement in thought and kind and substance, and to request him to say a few words about what he feels about this today's event. Over to you, sir.
Hello, good evening. It's indeed my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of V School. I'm sure Vijayan already did. But as Arvindji was mentioning, in fact, it was really wonderful opportunity which we got when Santrupt was a national president and Muzumdarji, Kharwa sir, all of them were working for that occasion, and Nehru Science Center, I believe Renaissance was a location. Renaissance was a location for that. And I still remember when this gentleman, Santrup, asked me that how can we support? And we were in actually Sion campus. Now, this campus is recently 1,70,000 square feet. That campus was 6,000 square feet, only 3 classrooms. But still, somewhere deep down, I was really of the opinion. I said we must at that time that we school concept was not really we launched, but somewhere deep down with the stakeholder driven approach, definitely I had in mind. And one of the small room we shared with the NHRD from those days, and two students actually. One was she joined In fact, Aditya Birla Group with Santrupt only. Tanvi was there, and one of the passed out, Suchitra Surve was there, 92,000 batch. So we thought whatever little bit which we can share and probably be with this the wonderful movement of NHRD, and we started with that. But I'm really indeed glad all galaxy of stars, titans, luminaries are sitting here. We personally, in fact, I personally learned so much from all of you, and which led me to do something during my presidency in 2010 and 12. I still remember Santrup, Satish Pradhan, Marcel, Arvindji, Vinit, and everyone. Everyone really supported because I was hardcore kind of coming from the teaching faculty, but fine. I think HR is there for every one of us, deep within us, and I'm basically from the shop floor. And I'm really thankful to NHRD. It's not really what we were offering, but our belief always what a best way we can share our platform with multiple organizations, be it NHRD, be it ISAC also host out of this campus and many other association, Chamber of Commerce, forums. And actually, we grew multifold. We grew multifold as a business school, and we are self-financed business school. So unless and otherwise, we actually look into this multiplier effect and really grow together. I think that's what has happened with us. And today, in fact, I wish to listen to the stories of all who's who are sitting here. So it's not a time for me to share what we did with Wellington, V School now. But Vijan sir, thank you very much for inviting me here. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, sir. So I just request my colleague, a student, I would request Dr. Arvind Agarwal to present a small token of our appreciation to Professor Dr. Uday Salunke, past president of NHRDN. That was a surprise, thank you for all that you've done for all of us and making the chapter get stronger and stronger. So I would request Dr. Salunke to reciprocate by presenting a token of our appreciation, chapter appreciation to Dr. Arvind Agarwal, the co-author of the book. Let's give a big hand.
Okay. Maybe I think we'll come in the second. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvind sir. Thank you, Dr. Salunke. Continuing in the quotation mood that I am, I suppose it's the mood that is setting. Josiah Gilbert Holland has said, "The temple of art is built in words." So I think the book Leaders in the Making, it's a creation of a larger a place of worship, a place of devotion. And I think that's something which all of us who are going to read it from one end to the other will absorb and give feedback and give our views and our emotions around it. Now we are entering the major part of our, you could call, recognition and thanksgiving process. Mr. Nathan, S.V. Nathan, Chief Talent Officer of Deloitte. Unfortunately, I think his father, had a ceremony. Father's, I think there was something clashing. So he was not able to make it. But I've requested T.K. Sriram, who is the National Secretary currently of NHRDN and CHRO of ICICI Bank, to say a few words of how he has experienced working with Nathan. And I think hopefully Sriram is online. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he's only at 8 o'clock. Okay. So then probably we'll keep that for later. So let's look at people who are in the room. We try to select people who know these titans much more than only knowing their CV, knowing them really intimately. And the first person whom I'm very happy to announce today as one of the 6 titans is Mr. Yogi Sriram. Let's give him a big round of applause. I think he has been national president of the Mumbai chapter. He's also very active in IMA. And under his leadership, I remember doing a good quiz program at Renaissance. So I'm requesting our good friend, another ex-chapter president, M.T. Lakshmanan, who's the CHRO of L&T plus Mindtree, because there's nobody else who knows Yogi, hopefully as much as he knows. So, Lax, over to you. You might like to come here because probably, or we can give you a mic, maybe. Can you give him a mic? Yeah. And after Lax finishes his reflections, request Yogi to respond to the sentiments appropriately. So I'll leave it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's such a big honor to be here and having an opportunity to say a few words, and more specifically about Yogi, whom I have worked quite closely for more than a decade. One of the first questions that I had, and I wanted to ask Yogi for a very long time, and I've still not asked him, which is why is Yogi called Yogi? Right? And as soon as I saw this book, Arvind, I picked up and I went through hoping I'll find an answer for that question, and it's not there, right? and uh, and maybe I was thinking as I was reading hard and trying to make sense why Yogi is called Yogi, and I read in the book that Yogi never really had any role models or he never had any mentors, and he's a man who's made it in life all by his own self experiences. And I read somewhere that about Sadhguru, that if you're all taught by yourself, right, all your life with all your self experience, then you're called Sadhguru, and maybe therefore Yogi is also called Yogi like that. That's my own makeup, but I hope sometime, and maybe today, Yogi will talk about it. But we all know that. Whatever I know of Yogi is that he is, self-made in many sense. He is very, very hard on the outside, especially if you're working with him. He's very, very hard on the outside, but he's a wonderful boss to really work with. And so Yogi made his own decisions from the age of 15. And so, one of the decisions he made was not to join the MA in economics program, right, and join the Delhi School of Economics and become an IAS officer, which his parents and family would like him to be. But he made a decision that he will come and join a program called PM and IR in TIS. And because he took that decision, serendipity brought Yogi to the HR fraternity, and such a diamond he has been to the HR community, shining throughout his career. Apart from the cricket that all Indians play, Yogi, I read in the book, was good in boxing, right? And I was wondering, I never got to see the boxing side in the 10 years, and I was lucky. And but I got happy to see. I was very happy to see the tryst that he had with toys. And I had the privilege to go to his home and see the scale model trains that he so passionately explained to me and my wife, all the various models. And it's a delight to see the big Yogi with a big smile when he talks about the trains. And if any of you get the opportunity to see those trains and listen to Yogi speak about it, that's a very different side of Yogi. And of late, he's got a new hobby, right? His new hobby is into electrical circuits and all of that. And again, I saw it in his new home where he's trying to put controllers and electrical circuits and making entry and exit of his house as seamless as possible, much before COVID, when nowadays everybody uses cameras and sensors. But that's Yogi. Lastly, I want to share a few snippets about Yogi. I had the privilege over the last 10 years, several lunch meetings, several years I was his lunch partner. So I've learned several things that we chat in the 30-minute lunchroom conversations we had. And I thought I'll share a few points that I learned from him. I learned a lot about labor laws, right? Nobody can beat Yogi on labor laws. And I learned so much that I've never ever learned anywhere else before these lunchroom conversations, and the finer details on labor laws you learn from Yogi. I've learned how do you go into the details, granular details about any subject, not just professional work related, but even outside. I know for NHRD how well he planned for the Renaissance event that we did, and I know till date that was the highest amount of collections we made in NHRD, and that's the degree of planning that Yogi does. And I've seen some of the best wildlife photos that he has shot. I've never seen anybody shoot. I've heard a lot about what Satish Pradhan does, but I haven't seen anything before until Yogi showed me some of the outstanding pictures. And all of these are non-HR related stuff. And from a HR, a last trivia I'll leave. I still remember this. I learned in a lunchroom conversation that when you drink hot water, it burns your upper lip and not the tongue. Right? These are the kind of uh, different conversations I've heard and learned with Yogi. And I'm glad that Arvind and TV Rao have decided to write and include about Yogi. I'm sure people who read about whatever is written in the book will benefit and learn from Yogi's experience. Yogi, wish you all the best and long and healthy life.
Thanks, Lax. Over to Yogi. I think you might prefer to come here. Yeah.
The advantage that Sriram always has is a Lakshmana. So I guess Lakshmanan had to speak something good about me. First of all, Dr. Uday Salunke, it gives me a great sense of pleasure to be back here. A sense of deja vu, because I don't know how many meetings we had here and quite shamelessly piled on whenever we wanted. That was when I was the president of NHRD and Mumbai chapter, maybe in 12, 14 or whatever. A lot of kind things have been said by Lax about me. The book has been very well articulated, very well written in terms of each person's story. But after reading my own story, I told myself that I need to have another chapter which has nothing written on it. It should be completely blank. And the reason for that is I wish to now write something myself on it, which will probably leave a mark on the HR fraternity in indelible ink. I may have done something small so far, but I need to do much more. My journey in HR has been quite serendipitous. I never planned anything really, including the journey into TIS. I found the TIS brochure with a co-passenger on a double-decker bus when I was passing Haji Uli, and I was all set to join the D School of Economics, as Lax said. But I thought it was fascinating about something called personnel management those days. So it was completely serendipitous, and then I joined the TIS program. After that, I never looked back. I loved the subject, and I liked everything that I did during my 45 and a half years. Of course, it's not been absolutely rosy. There have been ups and downs and stuff. But I think my learning has been phenomenal. My special thanks to Larsen and Toubro for giving me a platform, which I possibly may not have got so easily in other places. So if it is the next life, it's going to be L&T and it's going to be HR. Thank you very much, ladies.
I just request to be around. Lax, sorry if I could get you for a minute.
Forgot to give me the...
The SOP got violated, so I have to make the best alternative. Sorry. So could you help, gentlemen? Yeah, and please, everybody, please go to the center. Yeah.
Looking forward to the next chapter.
Yes. Thank you, Lax. Thank you, Lax, twice because I called you up twice and you had to walk up and down. Thanks, Yogi. The next titan whom we are going to put the spotlight on is none other than Mr. Vineet Kaul. And for some time, we had some difficulty. Who should be the person who should talk about Vineet Kaul? And then Finally, I narrowed down on a person called Vijay Padte. And the connect is Vineet Kaul is very, very closely associated with Employees Federation of India, where I also got a chance to work with. And Vijay Padte has been the DG until recently when EFI has become a CII property. Vijay Padte was called by the minister, so he could not come. But Vijay Padte is a very studious person. He has prepared a speech and he has sent it to me yesterday on video, which I'm going to play now. So sorry about the lack of personality, but I think his emotions and his feelings are very well captured in his eulogy about Vineet. So can somebody play that, please? Yeah.
Ladies, gentlemen, the organizers of today's meeting, a very good evening to one and all. At the outset, heartiest compliments to both the authors of the book, Professor Dr. Rao and Dr. Arvind Agrawal, in the sterling work they have done in capturing the stories of the Titans. Also, my congratulations to V School for supporting such an important event. This kind of book is not only an inspiration to the students alone, but also to the professionals. In the fast moving world of today, where everything is fleeting, such books with inspiring stories are great beacons of light. I personally love books, buy them whenever I can afford, and enjoy my time with them. I may say, I don't take drugs, I take books. Right now, I would like to speak about Mr. Vineet Kaul when I had the privilege of working with him at the Employers Federation of India. Mr. Kaul was the president and I happily reported to him in my capacity as his Director General. Mr. Kaul has been a board member of EFI for many years. Let me highlight the most important event during his presidency of 2018-19, the annual HR Summit. Conducting an annual event by an
Sir, would it be okay that
organization.
we probably go to a pair that is present here and then come back to you? Is that fine with you? Yeah? Okay. So it shouldn't have happened, but technical glitches, I think when it goes wrong, there's an act. Sorry about it. So I'm happy now where the next Titan is very much in the room. And the person who's going to talk about the Titan is also in the room. So the Titan is Mr. Pradeep Mukherjee, who's been associated with City Corp for a long time. And the person who's going to speak about him is R. Shankar Subramaniam, who's also a TISS alumnus, 1 year my junior. Profound work in the area of HR, OD, process work. And I think he has a lot to say about Pradeep. Over to you, Shankar. You could speak from here or we can give you a mic because you can speak into the mic if you want. Yes. Yeah. So you can sit and speak.
So when Lax was speaking with a big sheet of paper, I was like, okay. I came completely unprepared because I was told that you have half a minute to a minute to speak. Anyway, but I think, if I have to talk about you, Pradeep, the two words that come to me very clearly is a humane professional. These days it's an oxymoron to say that, but I think you hold both the professional HR side and you hold it with your heart. And I think what really I have learned from you is to hold the balance between how with the sensitivity towards people and also holding the responsibility of the business. And so one of the other things that about Pradeep that some of you, I mean, it has taken me about 35 years to know him. Even now, I think I know him only 25% maybe. Because Pradeep is like an onion, you need to peel and peel and peel, and then as you go on, you see more and more quality with him. Outside, Pradeep is a very unassuming. In fact, he almost completely disparages himself. In fact, he doesn't even want to say anything about himself. It's almost like he wants to hide, kind of thing. And but the more you know him, you can see the quality, the depth of his professionalism, the depth of his analytical understanding of HR, the kind of work that he has contributed at different levels in organizations, his high impact on people that he has worked with. And I know many people that have worked with you say, the kind of relationship that you have built with people over years. And I think the privilege that I have with you, Pradeep, is that you have been my boss for many years, but you are also a dear friend. So how we have been able to transition our relationship, and I think we have been able to do that with many people who worked with you, and I think that's a phenomenal achievement. The last thing that I want to say is that when I used to be studying in TIS since 1983-85, you know, we used to say great HR leaders when somebody signed a settlement with Datta Samant. Okay, so if you are able to sign a settlement with Datta Samant, you are like, the fantastic HR leader. And maybe in today's world, some of the students might look at HR leaders and say that, if you're a global HR head for some big organization, multinational, or you have a, very fat check that you get every month or whatever it is. But I think great HR leaders are people who are able to hold the sensitivity of people. And I think that is probably what, because I know Yogi to some extent, I know, Arvind for a long time. I know I've heard about Satish Pradhan. I think all of you, and I think Pradeep, you epitomize that sensitivity towards people and organization and balance it in your leadership. And I think that's the most powerful part of you as a person. And I came here only because you are there, and and I'm very, very happy that you are being felicitated. And I think I'm sure there is much more to you that is not there in that book. And your contributions in both at an individual level and at organizational level will long be remembered. And then there is still another 20 years of work for you to go. Thank you very much.
So may I request Shankar and Pradeep to just come to the front of the hall and accept our. Please.
Thank you.
Pradeep, you will probably respond to Shankar's sentiments.
Thanks a lot, Shankar. Those were really, really, really kind words. And thank you very much. First of all, thank you, Arvind. I have, ever since Arvind told me and interviewed me, at that time, of course, I never asked and he never told me who the other people he was covering in that book were. But when the book got, or just pre-release, and I looked at the names, and all of these titans out here, and I was wondering, and I'm still wondering, what am I doing in that book? But nevertheless, I've got there. So thank you very much, Arvind, for that. And thank you, gentlemen, for having me there. Shankar, like Shankar, yes, I've been very, very, very lucky in life. Something that I've shared with Arvind. And one of the things that I really enjoyed is the company that the teams that I have worked with through my career. The only correction that I'd like to make to Shankar is, if you're looking for the onion, you're looking at the wrong vegetable. You should be looking at a pumpkin, because there's something hollowness inside there. So just check which vegetable you want. But apart from that, really appreciate all your kind words. Thank you, NHRDN. Thank you, Vijay. And thank you, Dr. Salunke, for this facilitation. And Arvind, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Shankar. Thank you, Pradeep. It's not very usual that you hear a boss and subordinate in a public program. So that itself, I think, is a new vibration of today. I'm very happy to announce the next Titan, who I don't know lives in Pune, equally in Mumbai, I suppose, or his heart is in Mumbai, maybe. That's Mr. Satish Pradhan for you. And who other than the chapter president of Pune, Aman Rajawali, to speak about Mr. Pradhan. So over to you, Aman. A little louder one. He's come all the way from Pune. And this chapter manager is also here, Arundhati. Yeah.
Namaskar, Adab, Sat Sri Akal, Vanakkam, Kem Cho. This is my usual salutation in Pune, and people generally respond. But it was, this situation happened very fast, and so we were happy to also support this event together. And I'm glad that we have a couple of Puneris also come here. So Shaniwar Wada meets Shivaji Park. Pratima ने मुझसे कहा कि you will have to speak something about Satish Pradhan, and my phone keeps ringing. So my excitement, I think she heard my excitement in that silence, and she said, "Only 1 minute, no?" I said, "Hello, हमारे पुणेरी साहब हैं और 1 ही मिनट." तो she said, "हाँ." But then I said, "स्टेज पे तो मैं ही आऊंगा ना, थोड़ी निकालेंगे मुझे बाहर, मैं ज्यादा बोलूंगा तो." But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am so overwhelmed. First of all, with the entire thing and all the people here, all the stalwarts, all the leaders, and my favorites also. Satish Pradhan एक शख्स नहीं है, मेरे हिसाब से वो एक शख्सियत है. पूना में बहुत नाम है उनका. We can proudly say कि हमारे पुणे में HR के जो लोग हैं उसमें से टॉप में सतीश प्रधान आते हैं. So he is a proud pearl of our Puneri. So and when I joined NHRD way back, this is 93 से, but actively contributing to the chapter since 2000, and तब से मैं इनका नाम सुनते आ रहा हूँ बहुत लोगों से. And then finally जब मुलाकात हुई तो the warmth, मैं तो काफी छोटा सा था, अभी भी छोटा ही हूँ, सिर्फ पेट बड़ा है, but उनके सामने तो obviously it's like सूरज को दिया दिखाने के काबिल होता है, ऐसा. तो initially I don't remember when I met him, but जो vibes जो आता है ना, that warmth, and most of what the previous gentleman said about Pradeep, quite similar. I think ये leaders की ये tendency होती है. I don't know, they are made like that. Marcel Parker हमारे favorite. तो I'm sure all the friends, मैं तो अपने आप को नहीं कहूंगा कि उनके close friend में हूँ, but जो इनके करीबी दोस्त हैं, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि they must be looking up to him, saying कि अगर जिंदगी में कभी निराशा हो जाए, okay, और एक तुमको सिर्फ एक पत्ते की जरूरत हो, एक फूल की जरूरत हो, ये वो दोस्त है जो पूरा बाहर लेके आए तुम्हारे लिए, और जिंदगी में कभी उदासी ना हो रहते. So I'm sure your friends would be so proud of you, Satish. Whenever we wanted to organize एक ऐसा, हमारी भाषा में बोलते तगड़ा प्रोग्राम किया जाए पुणे में, तो किसको बुलाएंगे? तो इनका नाम आता है. And I'm proud to say that you remember we did a TRDC top level के program, and क्या उसे कहेंगे, the entire auditorium was full. So whenever we want to do that type of program, and we tried in between also getting in touch with you, बहुत कुछ हमने काफी सारे programs किए इतने बरसों में. तो हमारे क्या कहेंगे, I'm sorry to use this, sorry नहीं कहूँगा, but हमारे जो star attraction जो होते हैं ना पुणे में, वो हमारे सतीश भाई हैं. So and I'm so glad, Vijayan साहब, that I got this opportunity कि हमको उनके बारे में कहने का मौका मिला. And Pratima, thank you सर थैंक यू फॉर ऑल दिस। बस यही कहूंगा, और एक दो पंक्तियां मुझे याद आ रही थी, मैंने लिख के रखी है, इजाजत हो तो। छोटी सी है। हवा के झोंके के जैसे आजाद रहना सीखो, तुम दरिया के जैसे लहरों में बहना सीखो। ये इनकी जो शख्सियत है ना, ये सीखने मिलता है कि मस्त रहने का, बिंदास रहने का, अपना काम करो। एंड ही इज एंड सो मेनी अदर स्किल्स दैट ही हैज, कॉम्पिटेंसीज, वो तो सब किताब में लिखा है, बट मेरा ये मानना है, जो भी मैंने कहा है दिल से कहा है इनके बारे में। सो आई एम सो ग्लैड, थैंक यू सो मच, इट्स अ प्रिविलेज।
I'll request Satish Pradhanji to come over and request Aman to hand over a token of our gratitude. Yeah, to the center, please.
Oh, thank you, Ajay.
Yeah, fine. So I request you to respond to the sentiments.
My dear friend Uday, Arvind, all the other present company notwithstanding, all the other thugs in the mafia, it is a fraternity. It is a fraternity, and I think that's one of the biggest blessings that people like me have had in working in this profession, along with people like Arvind has garnered and more and beyond. So we are waiting the second edition of the next 30. I really don't know what to say, but the feelings that I'm with are one of being very, very blessed because Aman brought me in touch with something that gives me great joy. And this is perhaps not a story I was able to narrate to Arvind. My first boss was the big boss, was the chief of personnel of Rourkela Steel Plant, a legendary person called Sachidanand Pandey. And he had some fascinating conversations with me one-on-one. He headed a plant of 60,000 people and about 500 HR professionals. But he still found time to have a conversation maybe once in 6 months or 5 months with a lesser mortal like me as a management trainee over there. And one thing in many of those conversations which kept coming back, but he said it once. He said, it was his birthday. And so I had gone to wish him before going into the plant. And I knew he came in early, so I came in earlier. Normally I did. He said, what will be the biggest birthday gift for me? That you outgrow me and become a bigger professional, a better human being than I am. And that I've had some role to play in that. I think I've been very blessed. I've worked with, like Pradeep said, some wonderful teams, some wonderful people. And the people I've worked with are on a trajectory which is already way beyond where I have, I think, reached some small steps. And the warmth with which I look at them and relish their successes is something that energizes me enormously today to do some small good things here and there. So I'm now talking to the students here more than to this side of the table. That would be the greatest blessing that I could get. If people I have touched become great in accomplishment and glorious in their humanness, I would really be blessed. Thank you once again for this opportunity.
Vijayan sir, is it possible for me to step in right now?
Sorry?
Can I
Yeah,
speak about
Srirang.
Satish Pradhan out of? Yeah, can I speak about Satish Pradhan out of turn?
Yes, I think, are you comfortable now?
Yeah, I can. I know I saw Satish. Okay, I would just wanted to share a few words about
Yeah,
Satish.
Mr. Satish, just sort of think you're at the right time. So the context I mentioned, Srirang, is your close association of working with S.B. Nathan, who's been our national president for the last 2 years, and you being national secretary. I presume you know him all otherwise, but I think in the NHRDN role, you probably had a very close glimpse of who he is. And as you know, he could not make it for today, but he was too important a friend to be left out of this. So thank you so much for helping out and coming on Zoom. So over to you.
Thank you, Professor Vijayan, and compliments to you and V School for organizing such a great event. But I will definitely speak about Nathan. But before that, I would love to speak about Satish Pradhan. I started my career in ICI. Satish Pradhan was my boss's boss. I heard Satish talking about Mr. Sachidanand. I can tell you, Satish, if there is one thing that I have not yet done as well as you do, is I know how senior you were at ICI, but in spite of all that, I don't know whether you still remember, at 6:30 in the evening, you and I used to sit down and used to spend at least 2 hours with me talking about various aspects of HR, organization, and you have spent so much of time, not just with me, but so many other idiots who probably are there in the industry today, but have grown under you, Satish. All of us owe every bit of where we are to you. I'm so glad that you deserve every bit of whatever was told by Aman. And I have numerous stories to share about Satish. I'm sure many of us who grew up under him will have that many stories to share. But I just want to spend 2 minutes to share about Satish, how Satish was. He was a very senior guy at ICI. We were all absolute flunks who had just joined the organization. But yet Satish gave us that flexibility, freedom to approach him. We could reach out to him. He was obviously very demanding as a boss, but very, very approachable. He was kind. He used to take us around. So many times he has dropped us home on his way to when he used to go back home. I still remember, Satish, I know that you remember it. There was a car which Satish had, which I had bid for, which I had got, after a year of joining ICI. And the car was transitioning to me a week after the New Year 31st, that is the New Year day, Eve. And for some reason, my friends told me that let's go and take out the car and let's drive it around. But I told him, listen, I have not even got it because it is still with ICI and Satish is still there. He's going to drive the cars. But they said, no, we'll try it out. Maybe Satish will just give the car to you for a spin for the night. I walked across to his, I think, Green Park house. And Satish and Neeta had gone to Sariska to spend the New Year's Eve. I don't know what happened, but we got the security guard to give out the number. He called up the Sariska resort and Satish came on the other side. And I requested Satish if I could take out the car for a spin in the night. And Satish was so gracious. And he obviously, shared some, advice to me, which I can't share in a public forum. But broadly, he told me that you will be careful with the car and you return it back in the morning. And he gave it to me. To me, and I had not even known Satish for 6 months. To me, Satish is a leader who trusts his team implicitly, and he believes his team will never let him down. And I know I gave a very, very, very personal example, but I can give you numerous examples. But Satish is such a delight, and I would love to be there. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to the venue in person. But Satish, I just thought I should share this about you because I saw you on the stage and I could not stop. I know this is out of turn, Professor Vijayan. I'm so sorry for that, but Satish, I could not stop talking when I saw him on the stage. Satish, all the very best. Coming to Nathan, again, Nathan, I have known Nathan for the last 26 years. Professor Vijayan, I have not worked with Nathan other than the NHRDN stint. Nathan and I met when he came to the campus for the campus interview. And, those were difficult moments because, I did not pass out from the best of the B schools. So getting a job out of campus itself was a very, very big challenge. And I still remember Nathan walking to the campus and not having opening for an HR, management training. And I, being the placement coordinator, pitched, and Nathan, was sensitive enough to open up, the interview process for us. And I had a very long chat with Nathan, and I know how Nathan managed the whole process for me, and I owe everything to him then, because those were very difficult moments for us. And to me, I think someone did mention in a couple of speakers before me spoke about it. I think sensitivity is something that is a hallmark of every leader, definitely that of an HR leader, and I think Nathan displays that in abundant measure. And to me, what he did to me 26 years back, I think is a testament to that. And I still can't, I'm sure, and there are many more people that I know Nathan has done this to, and I'm in touch with them. So clearly that is something that Nathan really stands out. The second part of a great leader is someone who has actually built, and groomed a battery of leaders. And, the number of people I meet today in the marketplace who at some time or some stage had worked with Nathan and had, and Nathan had groomed them. I think the numbers are huge, and many of them have today gone on to lead many corporations. And I'm sure within Deloitte itself, I know of many leaders who owe, a lot of where they are today to the way Nathan has mentored them. And to me, that again is a hallmark of a very great leader. The last thing is someone who institutionalizes all processes. And I can vouch for that at NHRDN. One of the key, I would say, objectives that Nathan drives with a lot of passion is to really build the NHRDN brand, and while doing so, institutionalize a lot of great initiatives that we take at NHRDN, which he really wants to institutionalize them so that it kind of goes beyond just this committee and can serve the larger community. I think Nathan is one person who gives a lot to the community. He gives a lot of time. I know his job at Deloitte, is a very difficult job, but yet in the middle of that, the number of hours he's able to give back to the community. I think he's one of the HR leaders who has probably spent maximum time giving back to the community. He, in some sense, he would be one person who, whenever I'm sure Mr. Arvind Agarwal, indeed, when he picked up various leaders, I'm sure with Nathan, he would have seen a leader who, in some sense, has been a very key, played a very key role in shaping the whole HR thinking within the country. And what is most gratifying about Nathan is the fact that even today, his singular passion is to really invest in young, talent. He has been really focused on creating the Young HR Council, the young or the shadow board, as one may call it. He spends a lot of time with the youngsters on the board, trying to groom them, give them projects, spend time with them. But most importantly, he personally travels to a whole lot of colleges, whole lot of events, spends time with a lot of youngsters. And even if you see the National HRDN conference that is around the corner, 2nd, 3rd, 4th of Feb, on the last day, he has exclusively created space to engage with the academia and universities and young students. To me, again, that talks about, in some sense, institutionalizing a lot of his thinking, a lot of his thought, and passing it on to the next generation and make leaders out of them. Nathan, again, I would have, it would have been great if Nathan was your in person. I'm given to understand that he has some commitment, is not able to make it. But I again thank Professor Vijayan, V School, and everyone else, and the Bombay chapter, Pune chapter, for organizing the event and celebrating Mr. Nathan. Truly well deserved. We can talk much more about Nathan, but I guess we have a schedule ahead of us. So thank you again, V School, and it's a pleasure to really see Nathan receive it. Truly well deserved. All the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Srirang, for being there. I think you have important meetings. That was one of the reasons you couldn't make it. Thanks so much. And we will ensure that the memento reaches Nathan in person, either when he's traveling through Bombay or we'll ferry it across to Bangalore. and we will definitely share your sentiments also. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Can we go back to Vineet call, sir? So can we play Mr. Patti's video, please? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
To the students alone, but also to the professionals. In the fast moving world of today, where everything is fleeting, such books with inspiring stories are great beacons of light. I personally love books, buy them whenever I can afford, and enjoy my time with them. I may say, I don't take drugs, I take books. Right now, I would like to speak about Mr. Vinit Kaul when I had the privilege of working with him at the Employers Federation of India. Mr. Kaul was the president, and I happily reported to him in my capacity as his Director General. Mr. Kaul has been a board member of EFI for many years. Let me highlight the most important event during his presidency of 2018-19, the annual HR Summit. Conducting an annual event by an employers organization is quite a task for the organizers. Professor Vijayan Panchaksham has been associated with EFI and has guided us in various ways, including holding annual HR meets, and is well aware of the multitude of matters to be dealt with in the shortest possible time and with meager resources to depend upon. For organizers, there are multiple challenges to grapple with, like finances, staff, very senior industry professionals, senior government officials, and at times, even professionals from international organizations. At the 2018 HR Summit, over a 2 day event, there were as the speakers business heads, CHROs, union leaders, the head of ILO Southeast Asia, and two principal secretaries of Government of India, just to mention a very few senior level people we had to deal with. The development of a conceptual theme for the summit, which is contemporary, value-based, and simultaneously futuristic oriented, is always an intense work. At EFI, we could deal with every challenge and hold the HR summit successfully. Not only the participants of the summit were happy, but some of the dignitaries and seniors became permanent good friends. We could tick every box, including some savings for the rainy day. This particular HR Summit of 2018 was very successful, and all that happened due to the excellent guidance and mentoring of the team by Mr. Kaur. I've been his Bhakta, a follower since then. I always hold him in highest regards. To speak about him at today's event is an absolute honor for me, and I thank my friend Professor Vijayan for the opportunity of speaking about my ex-boss. Wish I could be present with all of you today, but another prior commitment has kept me away. Professor Vijayan and the management of the V School, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much and good night.
So as Vijay Bhatt is not there, may I request Arvind sir to present a memento of our appreciation to Vineet ji. Yeah. Okay, let's give a round of big applause. Sir, your response.
Udayji, Dr. Arvind, my other colleagues here, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to Dr. Arvind Agrawal and TV Rao ji for including me in this list. And here some good things have been talked in. It's a delight to see many friends today here whom I've maybe in the last 2-3 years missed out. Coming back here, Uday, is always a pleasure. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here with us today. And once again, thank Professor Vijayan and all of you. Thank you.
So the next title which we're going to feature is Mr. Marcel Parker. And I was selfish enough to appropriate the role that I'm going to talk about. Marcel sir, I do not know whether it's a mistake or but I'm sure you'll forgive me if I'm off the mark. So Marcel sir, when I think about you in TISS, I had a classmate called Ramanan who was 4 or 5 years prior work experience, and he used to talk about this exotic work that you're doing at Xerox. And so you were in that sort of a zone, but we never had a chance to meet. Then I remember somewhere in 90 to 94, there was a HRD conference in Goa, where I think a young rookie like me presented on the OD journey at Marico. And I think that was a big stroke of encouragement to me. And little did I realize that I will again run into you in so many different avatars. Also, I remember with a lot of gratitude the FDP intervention that you did at B School to enhance the effectiveness of teaching of employee relations and industry relations. And not to say, in addition, you've been a great source for the foundation stone for the assessment center, the DC center, and the internal mentoring of our HR students. I'm happy to say that now assessment center and DC center has been extended to all 800 students. I think we all can give ourselves, it was all because of the foundational work done by you. And I'm happy to say we have migrated to a AI supported platform by SHL. So we've been driven to do something better because of the way you pushed us. Also, I remember, sir, we had that unique partnership on certified talent acquisition professional. I think that is something which I long and I wish it comes back over here. But one batch, I think, I'm sure if I track them down, I'm sure they're going to say it made a whole lot of difference. And last but not least, I think to say I don't consider you as a very senior person. At the same time, I am very I can't call you by name. So I think you call me chief, and I never understood whether I'm a chieftain or somebody. But I'm okay with Marcel sir. So I've had this sort of a challenge, but I think you've been very, very fine. I think more often than not, you give me a call, and I know that some work has not been done. And I think that's really good. Even for this event, I think you pushed me at various places where it seems to flag. I hope I've lived up to your expectation. And I'm so grateful that you are here. You were there in 2004 when I made a presentation. And IIM and all that. Those things where we had different sort of notions of people like you. But thank you so much for who you are. I know that your health is also not up to the mark, but still you made it. I prayed for you. I wanted you to be here today. So thank you so much. And I think I'll have the privilege of giving this. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, especially. So, Marcel, yeah, you can just.
The reason I call you chief, where's he gone? Sorry. The reason I call you chief is that you've always led. And I recall the Goa conference as a young man with lots of hair and with just one Nair standing behind you. How you talked about the transformation at Marico. And I was so impressed. And I've been really very fortunate to have been associated with so many people like Vijayan sir. Uday, I must acknowledge that you have played a very large role in the development of LHRD. I was very happy that I've been there, and I'm so proud when I see what all V School has done over the years. Yes, the mentoring program was something which we all enjoyed. And Uday, you may have forgotten, but we started a program called Womentoring in 2012. Yes, and I'm very proud of the fact that this is the only chapter in the country which did this. And Bombay chapter has always sort of led the way in this. And so happy to see my friend Shashi Majumdar here, who was one of our earliest presidents, Santosh, all who have helped to build an institution. It was not just V School being built, but NHRD along with V School. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. Thank you for all the nice things that you have said. Delighted, Aman, to see you over here. And thank you for the nice things that you said. It has been a great journey. And I do hope that as Pradeep mentioned, I really don't know why I'm here, but I'm here and thank you.
Thank you, Marcel, sir. I just want to make a short announcement of my Mumbai chapter's deepest appreciation to Aman Rajabali and the Pune chapter. For some of you who may not know, the last year's conference, which we ran as a virtual conference, was a partnership between two chapters. And I think we produced a better product through partnership, and we also made a decent financial contribution. So I'm so happy, Aman, that you came to us. And I promise you, when you probably do a function in Pune, I will be there. And I'll take more responsibility for organizing it also. Thank you so much. I think the next spotlight is on Mr. Visti Banerjee. I've seen him quite late in my life, largely through the Employers Federation of India. And we always say, we have these jury processes for the awards. We said, to get anything past Mr. Visti Banerjee is not going to be easy. So you're scoring some points for some companies, bring him down. So that's the image I have, and I think he's a scholarly senior HR professional. So I was wondering who's going to talk about you, and then I managed to get an ex-Godrej person, because by the time I decided to reach out to him, he has changed his company, and that's none other than Ryan Mascarenhas, who was our general secretary of Mumbai chapter. Now he's with Axis Bank, but he and I work closely in the last team. So I thought maybe a Godrej person will know Mr. Visti Banerjee well. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. That's okay. I can always use. I think we're good to go. Right. So to all the HR leaders here and the future HR leaders, right, I am delighted to speak today about one of the tallest leaders in our profession and one of the finest human beings in a room full of fine human beings, right, Mr. Visti Banerjee. And so, of course, his profile is already over here. And I must narrate a very amusing incident that took place about a couple of hours ago, right? So I was at a meeting in Axis House with a lot of senior HR folks, and I excused myself because I said I have to get to Wellington. There's a felicitation of senior HR professionals, and I'm speaking about Visti Banerjee. And people asked who he was, and I said, veteran, 24 years in Tata Motors and 7 years in Godrej. where I'm from. And so somebody asked me a little tongue in cheek that, so are you going to talk about his integrity, his humility, his, process excellence and attention to detail? And I said, yes, as a matter of fact, I was. Do you know this team? The reply was, no, I've never met him, right? But with an alumni of 3 decades with institutions like Tata's and Godrej, how could it be anything else? Yeah. And I thought I'd narrate that, not to say that it couldn't have been anything else, but these institutions and these companies, right, have this ethos, but that ethos remains today, 75 years over or 150 years into their existence, because of the leaders who have taken that ethos forward, right? Such as Visti has done as the executive director and president of corporate services at Godrej Industries, right? Besides his many other roles as in Alstom and so on and so forth. Over the last 13 years, Visti has taken that excellence that he has learned at these institutions and has helped a great many other companies, right, as the CEO of Banner Global Consulting. And I was again fortunate to, benefit from his wisdom at the Mahindra Group, where he helped us out with leadership development. I recall the meetings in the Mahindra boardroom where Visti would hold forth with a lot of senior leaders in the group, and really had that knack of elevating the discussion, right? And taking what's a broad vision and then making it something practical, which is very difficult to do at the same time, right? And one thought that occurs to one is that for a HR professional, very often you have to deliver tough messages, right? That people like to hear or don't like to hear, rather, yeah, but need to hear. And the trick is, sometime after hearing that, can they still smile, right? And that is something that Visti can do, right? What is unique about him is a sharp but beautiful sense of humor, and I am going to take the liberty of sharing one incident which just came back to mind, like literally as I came in. It wasn't in a very professional setting, so we were actually at a wedding of one of the Mahindra leaders, Dr. Nankumar, his daughter, and unfortunately for Visti, I was placed at his table, and and why that was unfortunate is I had been having a great deal of dental trouble, and hence was likely to be extremely poor company for the night, right? And I recalled, grumbling to him that I had just had the third of a set of root canals, right? And he probably anticipated that he's going to hear a lot more about this. Right, and I remember the first line of his zinger is, well, Ryan, then you are well irrigated like the Punjab. Right, and shortly after, I think I forgot all about my dental troubles. But I think that's Visti for you. That's somebody who can come down to anyone's level or elevate anyone to a higher level. His contributions to the HR fraternity, not only in NHRDN, where he has done a lot of sterling work, right, especially in the HR competency framework, which Arvind has led, helping with the assessment tools. I recall a meeting over here in Wellinkers where that was being discussed, and with the Employee Federation of India and so many others. Visti has contributed immensely to the development of this profession. Visti, we are all deeply grateful to you, and thank you for all that you have done and continue to do for our profession. Thank you. May I request you to please come up?
I know what you do.
May I?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for those very, very kind words.
Thank you very, very much, Ryan. Those words are far in excess of what I deserve. I'm deeply grateful. I am particularly grateful to Arvind and TV for the role they played in my development last year. I do not think anything has had as significant an impact as the stories of 29 others. In fact, even my story, he found things which I didn't know. But I think that was one part of this book's contribution, which those of us who are in it sometimes tend to overlook, what it has done for ourselves by revealing our friends whom we knew, whom we deal with very proximately, but from whom we have not extracted the lessons which Arvind and TV managed. So I bow to you and thank you. And in that context, I just want to slightly change what Vijayan said, that this book is something for students, and we heard Vijay also say that practitioners can also learn. But like I said, it is equally important for us to learn from it. I will not share my gloomy sense of the situation we are in. But when I was reflecting as Vijay was talking, I realized that maybe this Titan word he has mischievously used to give the same message to us. I don't know how many of you are aware, I'm sure all of you are, but you didn't link it, that the Titans were not a very fortunate lot. The leader among them, and this is where I'm glad I'm the last person today, so clearly not the leader. The leader among them had the privilege of detaching certain anatomical components from his own father. And then he was over affectionate with his sister. But that, of course, we'll leave aside to point out that the Titans themselves were deposed by the children of this same leader. So then I realized that the reason this topic has been titled Titan refers to an unsaid threat that if we don't watch out, read this book, and improve ourselves, that next generation will depose us, which in any case they will. And that's the message. And to learn from him the quote, the quoting tendency, only the paranoid survive, Andy Grove. That's what we need to now do, because Titan is not a compliment. It's a warning to pull your socks up or be deposed. Thank you.
Visti sir, I can assure you we didn't have such historical understanding of this word. We were looking out for a word that doesn't, because Marcel said, don't embarrass us with calling you the champions. And also we searched for a word. And some of the young people came up with this word. I said it's a good word. Let's go ahead. And Titan will get some publicity, so Tatas will be happy with this also. Okay. So the next person who again could not make it today is Vivek Paranjpe. I think he's away on a family vacation. And I was wondering what to do. But I suddenly felt that there is a Guru-Chela relationship between a faculty of our school being mentored by Vivek as part of the SHRLJ option that happens. And I don't want to steal the thunder from him, but I can tell you this person has transformed multiple times, according to me. You would not even know that Anjali has no corporate experience. So the amount of impact and influence that Anjali has had, I have had the privilege of seeing her. No, I'm sure Uday sir will also agree. So I thought, as a tribute by the Chela, I'm going to invite Dr. Anjali Joshi, who's our Associate Dean for HR Academics. Over to you, Anjali.
Thank you so much, Vijayan sir, for giving me this opportunity. And good evening, all. It's my honor to speak about Vivek sir. And Vijayan sir told me that you have to speak from your heart. So, I'm not prepared anything, but whatever comes in my mind as a, mentor. I mean, I'm a protege, and our interaction started in 2015, December 2015, when I attended SHRLJ. So that is Strategic HR Leadership Program, and Marcel sir is here and Arvind sir is here. So my all memories are coming back, and it was a wonderful program, 10 days residential program. And at the end of this program, NHRDN has given us the opportunity that you could undergo mentoring. And thank you, NHRD, for that. And you could avail that the opportunity. And that time it was a different opportunity for me, because being a faculty, we are always the mentors of our students, and that also the mid-career, mentoring. But I availed that opportunity, and our interaction started with Vivek sir. So NHRDN was expecting like 2 to 3 months of mentoring. We lasted for 4.5 years, and then because of the lockdown, we have to stop, but it's still been continuing. And what I received, what I got, I really cannot describe in words. And the insights, which I got, from the person who has performed multiple leadership roles across the globe. And the sessions were so heavy at times, I used to feel, because you have to challenge your beliefs, so you have to dispute your beliefs, and I needed some time for self introspection, and some time for reflection. So we used to plan our sessions. So I used to prepare the topics for the another session, and then I used to do some background study, and then there was a discussion. So generally our frequency was twice a month, and I used to go to his office, and the session used to continue for almost 2 to 3 hours, and sometimes it is more than that. So I could see, I got the exposure of the rich exposure of his enriched journey, and I could see how the leaders develop, what kind of the strategies are there, how actually he has implemented it, what are the different concepts he has implemented, how he tackles different challenges, and there are much more which I really cannot explain, but I think Vijayan sir had said those were the results. And even during the process, it was not explicitly, but I tried to find out my areas of development also. One of the area which I found it out, that was a perfectionism, and I was really inspired by that. And I read so much about perfectionism, and then I carried out the research on perfectionism with different kind of variables. So I published 3-4 papers on perfectionism. Even the interaction with Vivek, this mid-career mentoring, I published paper also on that. It was so enriching. It was so fulfilling, I could say. And whatever I get it tremendously helped me in my teaching. Even in my content, when I used to prepare my sessions, it was a great and fulfilling experience. So I just would like to narrate some of the attributes which because of that I really I was impressed. The first important attribute, that is the conceptual clarity. He is having such a great conceptual clarity, and he would go depth in each and every concept. So I understood the importance of deep work and not only the smart work. And he would really go into the, in so much of the depth of the concept. And I realized, his theoretical foundation is so strong. And when you have a very strong theoretical foundation, that itself is a practice. So generally the people who say that there is a disconnect between theory and practice, maybe the theoretical foundation is weak and that's why it may be happening. Otherwise, theory and practice, these are the the two sides of the same coin. So if you have a strong theoretical foundation, that itself, then you cannot just stop yourself from bringing into the practice. So this was the insight which was very, very helpful for me, that having a strong theoretical foundation, and then because how does the theory emerge? First you implement it and then only from that theory gets emerged. So that was a very different kind of the insight I got. The another attribute I could say that he sees everything so objectively, and he doesn't allow to his emotions to come in the way. And I think this is a very good, all the characteristics of all the leaders, that is having high EQ. So I could witness this EQ, and this was also a very different kind of the personality exposure to me. A third important attribute I could say that Dr. Sayungi always talks about SOS, that self, others, and self-organization and society. So I think he is very high on that we have to go give back to the society, and that is also selflessly. Because we stay in a, we are staying in a world where we can see, everybody is so transactional, and then you just, you understand that somebody is selflessly giving something, and his pulse of wisdom. So I'm really mostly touched by that. And one more, at my personal level, that was also very different, different kind of the inspiration I got, that he's so planful, that he has, at the age of 30, he has decided that how he's going to lead the life, when he's going to retire. And he has decided at this particular age, I'm going to retire, from all professional activities, and I'm going to devote myself only to the spiritual development. And he is following that. Even he has frozen his needs, and I think this is a very kind of the different concept and very difficult to implement as well, to freeze your needs. Freeze your needs, that means, for example, if you decide this particular expenditure I'm having, so if you're getting more than that, you can donate. So don't bring it to your house. If you bring it to your house, we convert immediately into the needs, because needs multiply every day, and it's very difficult to handle it. So all of us, we know about Maslow's theory and the hierarchy of needs. The self-actualization, we say that's at the the highest need. But Maslow, in his last days when he was working, he has found out one more need, and that is self-transcendence. So, and that is, you can develop a bond between yourself and universe. And I think Vivek sir is right now currently as that kind of the need, and I wish him a very good health and happiness forever. So thank you, Vijayan sir. Thank you, NHRD, for giving me this opportunity.
It was good that I told you to speak from the heart, because probably you would not have come in such a flowing, it looked like the river Ganges from Himalayas all the way down to Bay of Bengal. Now we have a slightly different sort of you can say evocation. Is a lot of you spoke about young people. So we have representatives who are studying HR from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute, from Velunkar, and who's the third campus? Tara Institute. How can I forget my alma mater? So we have allowed them, these 6 students, to ask you one question to the Titans, and you can sit there and sort of respond. So in a way, we are saying that we are transferring the rhythm on to the next leaders. And as Nathan had, Sriram had mentioned, I'm happy to say that at the center in the board of National HRD Network, there is a young HR talent. Similarly, in Mumbai, we have got a person called Arun Kaimal who's actually working in Singapore. So this whole campus ambassador process is a tribute to Arun Kaimal, who could not make it. He's the HR director at Danaher. I think we give him a round of applause. He is also from DISS, and he did his graduation from SIES. So I request the students one by one very quickly address the gentleman whom you want to post the question, and let's move it. We are slightly late because we started a bit late, but we'll try and pull back time quickly. Yeah, over to you.
Very good evening, all of you. My name is Vipul Malhotra. I'm from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. First of all, I would like to say that this gives me immense pleasure to be here in a room full of stalwarts and listening to all the stories. It's really the legacy of our institution that we hear that I'm looking in real tonight. So, my question is to Vineet, sir. I've seen your journey. We'll be talking about it. For someone like me, I'm a doctor from my qualification who has turned to HR. So I'm still figuring out a lot of stuff. So all of you may be coming from different backgrounds. So we are just starting our journey. I'm in my second semester. So what are the advices that you could give to us so that we could apply them and be better versions of ourselves in field also and in life also? That's my question.
Good evening, Vipul and Dr. Vipul, I should say, and friends. Frankly, I don't know what advice I could give, but I can just give some suggestions because I should first admit that at least I worked in an age when many things like ChatGPT and Google were not there. So I used to spend too many hours trying to go into detail for even a small fact or a small incident would propel me to get into all the details. So it's a very different way. Maybe I would survive today as used to do that. So one is it can be a very good advantage that the access to information or the way you can get the knowledge or information is far, far ahead of what people like me could look at. So that's fantastic. The second thing is, irrespective of background, I recall when I started, most of the thinking on HR was that people have to be from a social science background. I'm talking that time. Again, I may be biased. Today it's not so. And I remember many years back, about 15 years back, I went to TSS. The first time it dawned on the 15 or 18 years back. And I found that the class students, most of them were engineers. So that is where I was seeing changes will happen. So being a doctor is excellent. I think your background has built in what you call as empathy, EQ, etc., very much there. So you have a solid footing compared to many clinical people, clinical in terms of their daily work. I think that aspect of it will come to stand as yourself. Many things are simplified. Like for example, I can only share that I learned mostly. I remember one sentence which I had a long time. When I to make an omelette without breaking the egg. That was always an attempt that I always got learned to work hard for. It is not possible always. There are more debaters rather than successes. So that area is gone. Only one solution I will give, there's a lot of technology that is made and excellent. At the same time, I think the technology to my mind is to enable an HR professional, each one of us, to be more responsive and cut down a lot of time in terms of the way we get information, process information, take decisions, and reach out to people. But our key constituent of customer is whether the employee, internal, external. I won't say our employee because that definition is very broad nowadays. You hardly got 20% your own employees, 80% are. So they are all stakeholders, let me put it that way. So I think to connect with people, technology, I don't think in HR is meant to, it's meant to bridge the gap, not increase the gap. So to my mind, very simply, I'm not giving advice, but suggestion is our focus on the H part of HR has to be intense. At least I would suggest that. Where it works doesn't. And most important, what I really answer is choose your first one or two companies wisely. That can help you a lot. You can't choose parents and boss, but at least you can choose the company that you'd like to start with. It makes a big difference. That's my personal experience. That's all I can give. Other than that, I think you have the best of history, the best of pedigree, and everything else. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
sir. Please.
Good evening, one and all. I'm Abhinav Tripathi from Tata Institute of Social Science. My question is to Sriram sir. Sir, I share the same background. I'm from the same institute and I was in Indian Railways prior to TISS. So my question is, since you have worked in so many industries, what is the primary thing that we should see while choosing industry? Sir was saying something similar to that. So what is it that we should see when we choose industry?
Okay.
It's gone.
I think what can help a lot, and what helped me while choosing an industry was the fieldwork training. If you take your fieldwork training really seriously, it is easy to, or it is a little easier to choose both the domain you want to specialize in as well as the industry. Let me start with domain. One of my fieldwork stints was with Times of India. And I had a very, very difficult fieldwork supervisor who was working there, a Kashmiri guy called Mr. Bhan. So the first day I went there to prepare for the fieldwork, he asked me, what is the section in Factories Act that deals with disposing of effluents in a factory? So I struggled and I mumbled something about section 12 or whatever, which was not correct. He then said, you are not fit to be in the Tata Institute of Social Sciences because you don't know any labor laws. So that was a nasty kind of an experience, but it was useful because after that, my learning of labor laws was obsessive. So that's as far as domain is concerned. Some provocation, in my view, has to be there, which is why I continue to read about social psychology and I practice a little bit in learning about the experiments and so on. In terms of industry, I think it is good to join an industry which is people intensive. It's good to join an industry which doesn't necessarily give you the opportunity for dealing with best HR practices, because if it is already up there with respect to best HR practices, you may not be able to contribute very much. But if you think it's a good brand with respect to people management and so on, you could think about it. For example, there are sectors in the engineering area or IT area where there are practices which may not be the best, but still there is scope to do even better. So I think it also depends on your own fundamental training. I think you said you're an engineer.
Yes, sir.
So if you are an engineer and you feel like continuing to work with engineers and people who are practicing that particular calling, it's good to join such a company. But I would choose my first company without any restraint of what is the sector, what is the kind of a brand it has in HR and so on. I would ask what is the role like. The role is the most important, and then choose which company to join.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm Shravika. I'm from same institute, Wellinger Institute of Management, and I'm pursuing PGDM HR. I'm a second year student, and I'm fascinated about learning and development. And my question is to Visti sir, how to manage the competencies and learning needs of the workforce when we have a multi-generational workforce.
Sorry.
Thanks for that question. I think I actually don't think the generation part is so important as far as learning is concerned. To my thinking, the same words I use, the need is to have people with paranoia. How do you get people with paranoia? And I'm going to inverse the normal understanding of selection that you put a round peg in a round hole and a square peg in a square hole. And I'm saying no. If you want to be getting people accustomed to stretching, and by the way, that's about the only message in development that has remained constant, then by definition, you should
put people who are inadequate for a role, but with a burning desire in their hearts to make well. And the people who have tended to start like that, regardless of the generation, I'm happy that I'm sitting with several friends here, most of whom I know quite intimately, and despite their years, they are just as eager to learn as I assumed they were when they started. So, A, I'm discounting generation. The tip I'm giving is put people in roles for which they are not ready. And if you have reached a stage where people are tending to settle down, shake them up, move them across. And by the way, that's a fine preventive to the spate of ridiculous downsizing that we are seeing around. VRS accompanied by recruitment. What the hell is the training department in that company doing if some people are being chucked out and another generation is being brought in? Anyway, I'll get too carried away if I talk of that. But the point I'm making is that if you get people uncomfortable but keen, and that discomfort is not that if I don't learn, I'll get sacked, but if I learn something, I'll become a more competent person and capable of switching roles continually. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sir. Next student, please. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sachin. I'm from TIS Mumbai, and my question is to Mr. Marshall, sir, Mr. Parker. Sir, you have very rich and diverse experience. You have worked in multiple companies, multiple sectors, and spent more than 50 years in this entire HR field. And you have also seen the evolution of HR from personal management to HR. So, where do you see HR, especially in the digital world? And is there any particular advice that, is the fundamentals of leadership changing in the digital world, or what is your advice to us?
Sachin, that was a very interesting question. My first boss, almost 50 years ago, he said, look, I've never heard of this iron thing. I don't know what you represent. You're here, I have to deal with you. I can only tell you that if you want to be a great HR professional and you want to grow, then ensure that what you convey is genuine. Combine that with being fair and firm, and that is a recipe for success. And I think that has served me. I hated it. I hated him for telling me this 50 years ago. I have used some of those principles partly. I do not believe that there would be a fundamental change in the way you deal with people. As somebody just now said, I think Vinith said, don't forget the H. If you are not able to convey your own genuineness, your empathy, your genuine feelings, and sometimes we lose this because of body language, gestures, you show temper, irritability, impatience, these are all human things. If you're able to convey that, it works miracles. Right? So I don't really think there's going to be any change if you adhere to the H. Yes, there will be technology changes, there will be new, different ways of doing things, but stick to the basics. I hope that works.
Can we have the next?
Everyone, I'm Namrita, and I'm from TIS again. And it is a moment for me to be here and see all of you and listen to all of you. So that's the first thing I want to convey. And my question is to Pradeep sir. Since you have been in the field of coaching and mentoring leaders, so I think since as a person who is starting my career in HR, what would you say that are the traits that a person should try developing when we are entering the workforce now?
Yeah, I think my colleagues have sort of articulated on that very well. But I personally have had a mantra which I have used to select people all my life. and which I continue to sort of advise for HR people. I think in HR, basically three things. If you want to succeed, in addition to what they have said, one is understand the business and understand what the business requires from people. The second is understand the people. Understand what kind of people you need, what kind of people are required, how do you develop those people, how do you develop the skill sets, etc. And make sure that both those understandings are coming together to define what it is that you have to do. And then do it flawlessly. Just execute. That is the mantra that I have followed for many, many years. And I've been very fortunate that I started recruiting people 6 or 7 years in my career when I was there. I became the HR head 7 years into my career and served me well. So those are my 3 words in addition to whatever people said. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. So my name is Utkarsha and I'm a student of Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies. And my question is for Satish sir. So today when you look back at your journey, what would be the key learnings or takeaways from your personal experiences that you would want us, the budding HR professionals, to remember, to keep in mind going ahead? Something that would remain constant irrespective of the changing times and generations.
I'll use that.
Yeah, you use the Satish. Take the mic.
I'll have to.
Better.
Thank you. That's a fascinating question and a challenge in the amount of time we have. But let me try and simplify that. I think one thing that doesn't change is values and intent. It doesn't change irrespective of where you are, what you do. Even if you don't work in your life, that's core. And then in a profession, like HR, I think that becomes seminally fundamental. The second thing is the recognition and the action, which again, a lot of my friends here have talked about. There are 3 missions that you have in yourself. You have a mission of knowledge creation, what you know, and therefore what you learn. So the harvesting and the garnering of learning continuously. And the third part of it I'll briefly talk about is you won't learn and you won't be able to fathom it if you don't apply it. So those 3 anchors based on your values and your intentionality really speak to the veena that is playing a rhythm in your life over the tabla variations and the vocal variations or the instrument variations that you may play at different points of time in the rag that you've chosen to play. Having said that, I think I'll underline something that was talked about earlier. Technology makes it easier. I don't know how many of you use this chat GPT or whatever it is. Do you? Very time saving, very productive, very efficient. Even I use it. But I use it as a doorway to do what Visti talked about. You know, you don't get depth from there. You get depth by the other 3 pillars. You get a roadmap and maybe a quick harvest of what's the latest thoughts processes, who's written what about it, or who's done what about it. Pick the companies you work for very carefully. I think Pradeep talked about that. Yogi also talked about that. You're looking at a bunch of people here. Visti, TAS pedigree. Vineet, Aisha pedigree. Look at the companies that they initially went into. Today, you don't know of Aisha even in the history books of HR. But it bred a whole generation of people who are today way beyond me, but comparable with the people sitting at this table. Xerox. There are two people who had an early exposure in Xerox. So pick the companies where you're going to actually be clear what you're going to do. Going back to the role, pick those companies, pick the roles. That's the suggestions I would give.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope the young students gave some food for thought. And you can be rest assured there is food waiting for you in the first floor, executive cafeteria. But before that, Professor Dr. Uday Salunkhe has an interesting observation. So I'm requesting him to come over. Or maybe you can give him the mic if he prefers to be speaking from there.
I just have a request to Arvind ji and all senior colleagues from the HR fraternity. I'm sure you remember we did Speak for Smiles during 2010-12. And as part of Speak for Smiles, we invited, and we were actually we did multiple NHRD was there. In fact, Tufels was there, CNBC TV 18 was there. We did leadership series. And we invited who's who of the world. Starting first speaker was, in fact, Dean Nitin Moria coming here on the campus. And we invited the students from 20 other business schools as well. And it was later on relayed by CNBC TV 18 across. And the part of that series, there was a KMD who spoke on this, KVK spoke on this, Paul Pullman spoke on this, Indra Nui spoke on this. There were 8-10 speakers across the globe. We could do it because we were together as a very strong force. Likewise, I feel this is a wonderful initiative which has already started. If we can start, let's Speak for Smiles, some kind of leadership series across country. Imagining, suppose if this region is there, maybe we'll be more than happy to conduct this once in a month or once in 2 months. That modalities, I'm sure, local Mumbai chapter can look into it. And likewise, across country, probably NHRM chapters will come into picture. And I don't mind being the past president of Association of Indian Management Schools. AIMS is the business schools association of the country. I can give them a proposal. They also have a chapter across country. So business schools across country will come together in that respective region. So today, I'm sure everybody got just about 5 minutes. But you have such a wealth of 4 decades, 5 decades, 6 decades. So I think if that series, if you can do it, it will be wonderful. That's my first suggestion. Second, because we have students from other business schools as well, and even some faculty as well, we school could reach to some level. I'll say incremental. It is not really great because we just have 1 acre campus. But experimentation works. So any of the HR students of other business schools who are present here or faculties, if you wish to do any experimentation here under our kind of HR lab, already Marcel mentioned and many of you mentioned, we did earlier also experimentations, new mentoring, then ACDC kind of area and many other. So if you wish to do it, please treat this as your own place and we can work out the mechanism. And we have no absolute issue with our own kind of competitors working. We are the competition kind of stuff which we can do it. We'll be more than happy to work on that concept as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I think it's my privilege to conclude this unique experience. While the attendance here should have been much more and we should have closed the door, I think some people have chosen to watch the YouTube live streaming. So that's the way of the world. I suppose if they have watched it through YouTube, they have not lost anything, but they have lost the personal touch. I would like to place on record, first of all, to my boss and group director for giving us this platform. After a long time, I think after the entire COVID, this is the first time we're really doing something of this nature. It's such a refreshing feeling. Number two, to Pratima, who's the chapter manager, Sarika, who is working with me in HR academics, all the HR faculty, and I think the students, not only of V School, but a collaborative effort of Bajaj, TISS, and V School. They have come together, and I think they have made the entire the process so easy and faultless. I really deeply thank you for lifting your performance, and I sincerely urge that very good food has been arranged, and we should not miss partaking in that. So all of us, with your permission, can slowly move to the first floor and the executive cafeteria. I'm sure sir will also join us. And all our students are also welcome to come and join us. And have you given all the mementos to the? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you for today. I'm not saying goodbye, just saying thank you.
I have a very special request.